Well, we certainly have to start by saying Happy New Year. First session of 2025 for this group. And in case you're watching or joining and wondering what this group of cool people really is it's the Cute for Teams group, champions using teams effectively, with your hosts, Ricardo and Stacy. And if you didn't know, we come here to geek out on teams and collaboration and things like that, um, specifically with teams and all things in the M365 space. Um, I should have did a nice snowy background like Stacy. That looks
Yeah,
looks
down
nice.
here in solidarity with all of
Right,
those of you in places where it's snowing.
right. Yeah, yeah. She's joining us from sunny Florida, so
It
those of
isn't
us
sunny
up.
today. It isn't, I'll
Yeah,
give you that. It's a little overcast today,
right.
but I am not complaining.
Yeah, awesome. Um, so yeah, so as always, I mean, nothing changes in terms of what we do here. I think from what I can tell from the list of folks joining, we got our regulars here, so you know the drill. Use chat or come off mute to ask any questions or any interaction you want. We certainly love to hear you guys engage with us as we go through things. And then Stacey and I just come to just rant about things. I've got some random topics and things to talk about. But again, happy to monitor chat here or raised hands. Happy to take any questions, thoughts, comments, anything like that. Cool, cool. All right, so yeah, we'll jump right in. Um, I see a comment about liking the new planner experience. Which if we go here, yes, it's definitely gotten getting some additional work and integration. If for nothing else, a very cool looking new logo. Um, it's nice for me too. I'm a huge, I try to do all my tasks in lists in to do. And while it doesn't say to do, I think most of you here realize that some of the tasks in here can be personal tasks, which is essentially to do tasks combined with the plan or planner tasks, which would be more like team or group tasks. So your call it your work or your team task combined with your personal tasks. And so with all that being said, this one landing page can end up being your spot for all your lists, especially if you do your work based on lists and tasks and things like that, um, and then your projects in general. So yeah, you can see here talking about the project manager plans. And then, of course, with the right licensing, there's Copilot integrations in Planner as well to help create those plans and things like that. So, and I really need some more content in mind to help make this look a little better. Um, but yeah, you can see here some of the templates that they have. In fact, let's fire this one up to get a little content in there. Um, yeah, there we go. So if you were trying to get a project started, but really weren't sure how to get that started, I mean, a template like this one would be helpful with a lot of tasks already there that are probably likely for your project as well. So those that are familiar with Planner understand this concept of buckets. If you're familiar with Kanban boards or Trello or things like that, they should look very similar. I can move these things around as needed, open them up and start putting additional details in here about assignments to who and add checklists and things like that. And again, this is um, assume, this is kind of for a team to collaborate. I have used these individually as well when I have something I'm working on that I want to see in buckets and things and want to be able to see my progress and my schedule of what I'm doing. I find it useful individually as well. But I think in theory, the thought here is multiple people are using this. But whatever works for you, whatever view you like to see, you can see there's different types of views. I think the board is probably one of the more popular ones there. And then see those different plans that you may be a part of, uh, which would be different than the your individual tasks. And I just noticed that little pop up that said board view. I clicked off it too quickly, but it looked like board view for my task is coming soon, I think is what that said, which is cool. I'm gonna have to look into that because that might not be that might be nice. It might for someone like me that's using to do, this might be a new UI for my to do task. So I'm gonna have to look into that. That's the problem with clicking around too quickly. You miss out on info. I clicked right off of that thing. So if anybody else sees it in theirs, let me know what you see or put a screenshot in the chat or something because I clicked too fast. And the last thing I'll say here too, my day. So if you are a to-do user or task user in general, I'm curious. My day is a cool concept. I mean, I think it's one that kind of takes it to the next level because now not only are you making tasks, but you're also kind of applying dates to them such that you've decided that today this task needs to get done. And so I try to do that as well. I don't do that quite as in a disciplined way as I would like to, but I like this view. It's a little different than to do. I guess I could be bringing that up too, but I like this little good morning and the little visuals here. It makes me feel good. So yeah, so we got planner in there. I think there is a different licensing, I think related to project licensing that lights up some other things in here, which is probably why I'm not seeing some things I know I've seen in my other tenant. So I think if you have hopefully I'm saying that right, but I think if you have some kind of planner premium licensing, and I don't know, Stacy, if you're familiar with that too, but I think that's when some additional features in this area start to light up. So if anybody is in here that has that additional license and can confirm that, that would be good. Uh, Stuff. Just trying to check the chat there. I'm clicking on private tasks under my tasks. Oh, is this where I'm looking at the chat there? Is this where the boards is supposed to be? Maybe I just don't have it yet. So I'll look into that. But good stuff. While we are looking around at things, the other thing you might have looked at recently is your calendar. Well, I'm sure you looked at your calendar recently, but um, you may have noticed this new calendar button, and I don't know if you guys are seeing that in yours and have tried it. So this calendar we're looking at here is what we have been used to for a very long time. Its primary use being to show you your Teams meetings so you can join them. I mean, it'll show all your meetings, but its real value is to be able to see a meeting and hit join, be able to create new meetings up here. But this new calendar button, as I clicked it and immediately changes over, basically integrates your more the view and functionality of your Outlook calendar. I'd say probably more specifically new Outlook versus classic or desktop Outlook, which is the one I prefer, and brings that in here. And so what that means then, and let me first show you in case you're trying to switch back and forth. I mean, you don't have to, it's not like a one all or nothing thing. You go up here and the new calendar button is there. You can switch back. But if we do switch on, we're bringing in that Outlook functionality. The reason I did want to switch back is, let me go back to old. So if I'm opening up this event here, you can see a view that we are used to. Been there all along. These tabs up top, team specific tabs, recap, things like that, the chat, things like that. What does that look like when I do it in new calendar? Open that same one. Again, my one-click experience, it looks like Outlook, where I see kind of an abbreviated part of it. By expanded, I am seeing the view that I'm used to seeing in Outlook. But what I'm pointing out is it is not. It's very different from the view that we're used to purely in Teams. I guess let's call it classic Teams calendar, right? So we're seeing Outlook specific stuff here. And so for many, this is going to be very useful because, we maybe you don't use calendar in Teams as much because you prefer to be over in Outlook where all of the fancy calendars related buttons are. So now we're bringing that to you. The part I'm still on the fence about, and it's still got me kind of going back and forth, is what we don't have here, as you just saw, are the team specific buttons. That recap tab, that chat tab. Again, there are ways I can get to chat here. If there was a recap on this meeting, that would be here as well. So, but some of those meeting buttons aren't there. And then, especially as an organizer, a Teams meeting organizer for a particular meeting, I think that some of those tabs or features might not be in this view. And so that I think is what's currently now. I actually checked into that, and they're aware of that. I heard those are on the roadmap. So I don't know if I might wait for that. Otherwise, though, you're getting a ton more calendar functionality in your Teams experience with this approach. Um, Particularly, I don't know how much you guys use the different views that you have, right? Whether it's the day view, and we could have done that in Teams too. But save views, the scaling, and then even the filtering, which can be pretty cool. So I use a lot of categories in my categories, and really for the sake of the coloring that it does in my meetings. And so my calendar is a big rainbow, and all those colors, each color means something to me: customers versus internal meetings, et cetera, et cetera. And so to be able to see that view here, to be able to only see, let's say, customer meetings, only see internal, things like that, is useful here. You can see these other ones as well, even in-person meetings and things like that. So that's there. And then of course you just get everything you're used to in Outlook when you're making a new meeting. Those of us who are Teams fanatics, right? We sort of kind of our brain knows how to make a team when we're in Teams, knows how to make a meeting there, and knows what's there and what's different from Outlook. And then when we're in Outlook, we kind of do it a little differently. We've just gotten used to that. This kind of makes us not have to get used to that anymore, right? The same way we make a meeting in Outlook is how we would do it in Teams, and all the bells and whistles. So from that perspective, I can see it being super useful. I think I'm hearing things to just expect this to be the best of both worlds over time. All the goodness of Outlook, but also bringing forward a lot of the Teams goodness as well. So who knows, as this gets more developed, maybe this, especially for us heavy team users, maybe this becomes the preferred spot for our calendars as they bring more functionality here. But all of that you can get to this just with that new calendar click button. I think I'm just checking out the chat here. Stacy, I think I see you having a conversation in the chat. Is that something worth mentioning?
It's just a quick note about adoption and just encouraging adoption. The question, or I guess more of this is the way we're planning on doing something. Is this a good way? Was around training for GCC tenants on Town Hall when it lands, and the features that may be enhancing that experience. And they were thinking they were going to wait to deliver that training until the features were actually delivered and stable in their tenant. And I encourage them to do that. I think that's always wise, that when you're holding a training, having the features be there and be fully functional is going to give your users who are attending the training a great experience. Plus, it allows them to go back to their desks and immediately tinker on their own with the same feature set in the same UI that you just trained them on. So it makes that that learning very sticky.
Yeah.
So I was all about that, and I think that's a great approach. And then I also encouraged, when you see those features in our roadmap that us Microsoft nerds care about and track on the regular, use those as teasers for your training. So, hey, you guys who are doing live events today that are going to be doing these town halls, don't forget to come into the training. And when you do, you're going to learn about feature XYZ that are going to enhance your experience and just drive that participation in training with those little teasers.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would add too, as you're waiting for the feature to drop for the general mass audience, I would say as you put it, Stacy, get your nerds busy in the meantime. I know for a fact, I know some of the folks on this call, I think you would agree, we are nerds and we like to play with the new features, even if it's not fully baked, and so it's a little more effort, right, to enable a given feature for a subset of your users. But if you can, that gets cool, right? Because you've got some folks in your org getting used to new features. They're okay with change and that kind of thing, so that when that thing does launch for the masses, you've got a group of evangelists ready to help with that training and also help with the messaging of it's okay. I know we moved your cheese, but hey, I've been using this for 2 weeks and it's great, and here's why, and that kind of thing. So if there's ever a scenario where you can get your super geeks, your champions really, to get a hold of some of those features ahead of time and start to get used to them so they can help out for the adoption piece. That I think that's useful. But again, that's a couple more moving parts for you as a trainer or as an admin to kind of manage these two communities. So, but just something to think about.
In that vein, it looks like we have another question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just noticed the one chat about some features rolling out glitchy at first, and so kind of trying to wait for them to settle down, as you might say, is also useful. Yeah, and then the question there is about Q&A being available to all users, or is that with a premium? And Q&A from a perspective, I think, of the webinars, right? I think that's the context of that question. And
maybe Melody, if it's not that, you could come off of mute and
yeah,
make
it's now
sure
working as expected. Do have premium, however, this is yeah. Because Q&A, I didn't think I have to check to recall if Q&A is a Teams premium feature. I didn't think so. I don't know if anybody on can confirm. Okay, yep. Q&A not a premium feature. Yep. So, but I know it is a challenge in GCC Gov environments. Outside of Gov, though, I think we are getting the answer that yes, Q&A is just part of that webinar feature. So you don't need premium for it. But if you're not in a commercial tenant, then you probably don't have it initially because of some of the back end services that it uses. Okay. And I guess while we're here, we can just, since I'm sharing, point that out. And in fact, Q&A can be used in any meeting. Let me just fire up this meeting here, just so everybody knows what we're talking about. Join this meeting. And I think it's meeting options to enable Q&A. Where is that? Maybe it's not on a meet now, which I guess might probably make sense. Let me do a webinar. And how quickly can I just fire this thing up? Save it. It thinks about it a little bit. We publish it. It's ready to go. We click out of that. We join that. Join that. And oh, that's right there. My Q&A is right there. So again, just so we're on the same page, Q&A is essentially moderated chat. Um, so while your meetings or webinars could have chat that people could use, that's wide open. People chat as much as they want. Q&A, people are more formally kind of asking questions. You as a Q&A moderator can decide which of those questions get shown, answer them privately, answer them for everyone, and things like that. Um, so so lots of cool functionality for that. So just so we knew what we were looking at there. So yeah, this demo tenant does have premium, but I think even if I didn't, or we know now, even if I didn't, it would be there. So good stuff there. All right. Yeah, I think you guys are having good convo in the chat there. So good stuff. Let me close out this thing. All right, good stuff there. So yeah, so we talked about the new calendar. The other thing I don't know that we've talked about in the past is the Meet app. I hit the three dots over in the ribbon. Oh, in fact, let me do one more thing here. I always forget to hit that button. Let's see. And then, nope, that's not the button. Where's my Meet app? It's this Meet. And I should pin it. You can certainly pin it to the, let's do that now. Pin it to the side there. But just a different interface or visual for seeing your meetings. Because I think all of us may be different, right? Like in terms of an upcoming meeting and what do you do to see it and or click on it when it is time for the meeting? Because there's lots of different places, right? You could do that in Outlook. You could wait for the reminder pop up. Do I have my? Let me just fire that up. You could wait for Outlook's reminder pop up, and some people join from that. You might come into Teams in your calendar view, whether new or old, and hit that join button because that's one of the advantages of the Teams calendar, new or old, is that join button is always wide open there, right? Or always ready to go. Same here with the reminders. Each of those have their little join buttons there, so you might join there. And then you might also now be a Meet user. And that sounds weird. I mean, I'm talking about meetings and not food. Uh, so you hit the Meet app here, and you might join it from here. And so this is kind of cool, I think, because this section about up next, what's coming up next, right? As opposed to needing a view that's seeing all the calendars of the day, you come here because you're trying to join your upcoming meeting. And so this is useful, especially for those of us that are always triple booked. Two or three of them will be showing, and I can join the one that I feel like I need to join. So to have that there, the running late button's kind of nice as well. I wouldn't hit that if you're joining a 200 person meeting. I don't think, you know. But otherwise, the join meetings are there. The chat with participants button is there as well, just like it is on the calendar reminders. I could, of course, open my calendar if for some reason I need to see more stuff there. But, and then the other thing is after these meetings occur, the recordings, having those in one place. And these filters I like, I guess my favorite filter here is the missed meetings. So being able to see that, and you get these meetings and their recordings all in one view. So that's a nice one, as well as just recorded in general. Um, uh, Whether you attend them or not, a one-click spot to see all the recordings that of the day. And then all the mentions. Say you're in a bunch of meetings, and of course you're very popular. So every time you're in a meeting, they're shouting your name as soon as you come in. Ah, Ricardo's here. So of course you want to see all the mentions across those, and have that link to the chat and things like that. So this is pretty useful for that. I've heard some people kind of live by it once it kind of launched. So if you haven't tried that, because it's a little subtle button, as you can see, it wasn't even on my left rail initially, so you might have to go find it and add it. But it may be something to try out, or at least remember that it's there, so that if you do want to try it, you can just fire it up and come in here and check that out. So RSVPs to some meetings, things like that, all of that is here. So I've got some colleagues that really love this and are using it more so than their typical calendar for joining and managing their meetings. So good stuff there. Hey, um, no, there's no big, new stuff that I can think of since we last talked. Um, worth showing. Of course, we're just got a couple minutes left here. Checking the chat in case there's anything else. I don't know, Stacy, did I miss anything worth mentioning?
No, just
Uh,
that our viewership seems to love the Meet app, but
oh, okay.
it was pulled from the GCC tenants. So I'm
Okay.
going to do a little investigation into that to see when and if they can expect it to land in GCC again.
Gotcha. Yep. Good stuff. Okay. Awesome. Well, again, there's some of the settings I was looking for earlier. All right, good stuff there. Yep. All right, good stuff. So yeah, appreciate it. Everybody continuing to join us again here in 2025. Again, as you know, we're here every month, and always can access the link to the meeting from aka.ms/Q for Teams. If you did, well, I'm sure you did use that today, and you may have noticed an updated look. Did a little upgrades on the website over the last few weeks, so hopefully that looks good to you. Gives you easy access to the YouTube on-demand viewing and the previous or recent postings, all that good stuff. So hopefully you like that. Last call from anybody on any thoughts or comments. All right. Looks like all minds are clear. So again, thanks for joining, and we will see you next month for Cute for Teams. All right.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.